Okay, so in this tutorial we'll show you how to add a details view. And again, a details view um, is different than a grid view because it shows one record at a time, but it also allows insertion or adding new records. So to add a details view, we go to the toolbox, find the data section of the toolbox, and then find the details view and drag it off and stick it where you want. Um, and then you notice it kind of has this generic field names here. And then also notice that we don't have a data source. So when we did the grid view, we got the data source for free. But on this one, we have to create the data source ourselves. So to do that, we'll come here to the choose data source. And if you don't see this, if that's not popped open, if it looks like this, then just talk to Rob. Come here to say choose data source, and then choose new data source. And then, you know, if you're dealing with an SQL database, choose this. You'll have to put in the IP address and that kind of stuff for the database and passwords. But we're going to do an access database. So I click on access database. Just keep this access data source one as the data source name or the data source ID. The most you'll ever have on a page, at least for this class, is 2. I've never ever had more than 2 on a page. Then say OK. Then we have to actually say which database we're going to use. So we'll click on the Browse button. And again, we put our databases in this app data folder. If you have more than one database, you just have to remember which one it is. I'm doing this jobs one. I say OK. And I go to next. And then it says, OK, which table do you want to use? If you only have one table, choose that one or it'll be displayed here. But I have more than one table, so I need to pick the correct one. So I'll choose my table. And then again, which columns. So again, in our little toy one, we have the 5 columns. Let's for sure see all those. But in a real database, you might have 40, 50 fields. And again, you might not want to see all those every time. So choose your columns. Again, choosing star selects all the columns. If I didn't want all of them, if I only wanted these 2, I could click, select those 2. But I'm going to take all of them. And then we can do filtering by doing the where, and we can change the order that they show up by clicking this order by button and making a new query. But I'm going to skip that for now. But the one thing that you really want to do for sure is click the advanced button and have it generate these queries for you. Because if you don't do this, well, you can always go in and generate these queries yourself, but just have him do it. It's much easier. Him, her, it. So click on this box, then say OK, and then go to next, and you can test your query, and it's going to test the connection to the database. It's like, yep, there we go. There's my data. You can do the test, not do the test. If you're testing to an SQL database or something else, I'd say test it out, make sure your connection's okay. These access ones, they almost always work. And then we'll say finish. And then we can come through, and again, what I usually do is do the formatting and make it look pretty. But the things we for sure want to do are check these boxes. Although if you don't want people to delete records from here, don't do the delete box. If you don't want them to edit from here, don't do the edit. But editing and inserting are the 2 things we almost always use details view for. And then the other thing is paging. This allows us to see the different records because it's only going to display one record at a time. If we want to be able to go through and see more than one record, make sure and turn this on. You notice if we don't have this, the numbers disappear from down here. That's how we page through. And then the last thing we want to do is go to Edit Fields. And if you're using an Access database, you want to do this. SQL database, you don't have to worry about this. But Access, it's not going to show you the ID field when you're trying to insert a new record. And since Access is problematic, it doesn't auto number and give you a primary key like you expect it should. We have to actually put a number in there. What you need to do is be able to do that, you have to actually see the field. So make sure and click on ID field here, and then over on Insert Visible, set this to true. And that's it. You're done. To run it, test it out, hit Control F5, and I'm going to go here to the New button, add in a new record, and I have to remember that I have 4. Let me put in ID 5, put in my description. I'm not going to put all the data in. I'll just say insert. But you notice now we have 5 records. There's the one I put in before. I can page back and forth and see the different records. So that's it for adding a details view and working with an access database. And we'll show you in a different tutorial how to actually auto number that that ID field so we don't have to do it.